Suluso to reprint books that were allegedly confiscated. Labor Affairs Bureau received over 50 complaints of dismissed VIP room workers. And Drunken Dragon back in the streets. Good evening. New Macau Association President Suluso says they are going to reprint 1,000 copies of his book that were allegedly confiscated by the Gongbei Customs. He estimates that they can get it published through Hong Kong next month. The book was one of the projects to celebrate the first anniversary of the protests against the top officials' perks bill.
1 year ago, thousands of residents staged a rally here, Topsack Square, to protest against the top officials' perks bill. They blamed the government for abusing their power to have access in the public's money to be transferred into the pockets of officials. It turned out to be the largest protest since Macau's handover to China. And this afternoon, convener of the movement, president of the New Macau Association, Suluso, was back to the square. As today is the first anniversary of the protest, they want to remind the public not to forget this historic moment.
Some memories have to be preserved because I know that some Macau residents are quite forgetful, so I want to remind them not to forget about this event. And I think the government shouldn't take all negative opinions as some kind of monsters that attacks them. Without these opinions, they wouldn't think that they are doing a very good job in managing different policies.
The association intended to launch a book to celebrate the first anniversary of the protest. However, Suluso said earlier that the Gongbei Customs has confiscated as they were sent to a factory in the mainland for final works. Mainland Customs denies the confiscation.
There is only one truth. If I have to tell you guys 100 times, it will remain the same because what I said was not a lie.
He adds that he has already assigned another company to reprint another 1,000 copies of the book, and this time they are going to send it to Hong Kong instead of the mainland. The president of the New Macau Association estimates that they are going to publish the book next month. Another way to celebrate the anniversary is a photo exhibition about the protest. Suluso says they had applied to organize the exhibition in 10 locations in Macau, but he says that the Civic and Municipal Affairs Bureau only approved 2 locations and told them that the rest are unavailable. And in the following 2 weeks, Suluso says that they will set up the photo exhibition in the name of gathering in different locations.
The Labor Affairs Bureau received over 50 complaints so far due to workers being dismissed from VIP rooms. The Bureau thinks that the current relationship between employers and employees has not yet reached to a tense level.
Macau's gaming revenue has been declining for 10 months now, and this recent downturn doesn't show signs of recovery. Industry experts predict that the revenue for this month has declined by 34 to 39% compared to last year. VIP business was the most affected, and late last year, some VIP rooms were closed, forcing job layoffs. The Labor Affairs Bureau has received over 50 complaints since December last year due to being dismissed in 4 VIP rooms. 15 of those who complained asked for assistance on the employment-seeking registration. 9 people of those were employed due to successful referrals.
We have been paying attention to the VIP room complaints that we receive, and the current situation has not yet reached the level of a tense relationship between employers and employees. Using compensation as a method to dismiss employees can relate to approvals of imported workers.
The Bureau added that they will investigate and notify the Human Resources Office if there are unreasonable dismissals on the VIP business.
Just recently, the Secretary for Economy and Finance, Lionel Leong, announced that the duration of stay of imported workers in Macau is going to be tightened. The government is planning to let workers stay here according to the duration of their project. But the Human Resource Office stresses that after the plan is implemented, the duration of stay for imported workers can still be adjusted depending on several situations.
Normally, in the construction industry, following the construction regulation, the calculation of the day is not too accurate. It can sometimes be earlier or sometimes later, because the rainy season can cause delay to construction dates. They need to notify us according to their actual company situation.
And the Labor Affairs Bureau issued 13 suspension orders to construction sites between January and April. It's a considerable increase compared to last year, when there were only 12 suspension orders throughout the whole year. The director of the Labor Affairs Bureau, Wang Qihong, says there are different reasons for the suspension, such as accidents with deaths or injuries or lack of safety in construction sites. He added that this year, 4 construction workers died in work accidents. Wang Qihong admits that giving out suspension orders has a big impact on construction projects. The Labor Affairs Bureau also pledges to strengthen the promotion of occupational safety and health to the construction industry. Macau has today celebrated the Feast of the Drunken Dragon. Featuring a Drunken Dragon parade, the celebration has been a spectacle among locals and tourists alike. A traditional folk festival celebrated by the fishmongers of Macau, the Feast of the Drunken Dragon is one of the most awaited events by the residents engaged in selling fish in the market. During this day, they gather at the dinner table and dine, which gradually became a tradition at the Longevity Rice Feast. This festival is where people also see a wooden dragon made to dance on the incense burner table to pray for blessings. 2 major performances are normally featured, including the Drunken Dragon Dance and Lion Dance. Today, the crowd gathered to witness the festivities, particularly the Dragon Dance. Along with the beat of the drums, dragon dancers began to take big sips of alcohol. Half drunk and half awake, they danced and controlled the wooden dragon.
First time seeing this.
How does it feel?
I think it's very festive.
Performance teams started the parade from the Senado Square and passed along the Patani Municipal Market and Yaohan Market. A spectator here said that she admires the performers' passion towards traditional culture.
Performers are not actors, they are people from the fish industry. I think that is very impressive. I appreciate them performing while sweating, and now they need to perform in another market. I admire their spirit.
Secretary for Social Affairs and Culture Alexis Tam also joined the celebrations along with other guests. He awoke the dragon in the parade by dotting its eyes. Alexis Tam says that the Drunken Dragon is an important tourism resource in Macau. Drunken Dragon is also a non-material cultural heritage in China. Therefore, it needs to be passed down to generations and be promoted. China and Taiwan performers were invited to this year's Drunken Dragon Parade, making it more interesting.
We have invited many friends to perform from China and Taiwan, and these China and Taiwan friends also invited friends from the Macau Fish Trade General Association to go there and promote exchanges. So now it created a platform. Also, it began from Macau.
Tourists also hope that Macau can hold similar events to allow visitors to experience the local culture. In association to Drunken Dragon Dance, the Macau Fish Trade General Association also gave out Dragon Boat Longevity Rice. They estimate that more than 80,000 boxes were distributed.
Large numbers of people were attracted to the red market since early morning. The Macau Fish Trade General Association started giving out Dragon Boat Longevity Rice in the red market to residents with meal tickets. They also gave out Dragon Boat Longevity Rice in various markets during morning and in the afternoon.
I just arrived here.
Why you got it so fast?
I have meal ticket.
Those who did not have meal tickets arrived a few hours earlier to be in queue. They didn't mind standing in the sun waiting for hours.
I arrived before sunrise.
Is it exhausting?
I'll still wait in line if it's exhausting. It's like this. If someone is sick, they will get better by eating this. It doesn't matter how many I can get.
According to the legend, children who eat the Dragon Boat Longevity Rice will grow up to be big and strong, while adults who eat it will live a long and healthy life and be blessed with many children and great wealth.
When I was young, we used the cover of fish or shrimp barrel as a table. Neighbors who pass by think those fishmongers' children are so interesting because they behave while they are eating. Then the legend was created that after eating Dragon Boat longevity rice, children would become well-behaved and grew up to be big and strong. Neighbors then started to bring bowls and plates and asked if they can bring some rice to their children.
The numbers of people who came and get the Dragon Boat longevity rice has increased this year. The Macau Fish Trade General Association estimates that more than 80,000 Dragon Boat longevity rice was given out.
And French film wins top award at the Cannes Film Festival this year. Coming up on TDM News. It's 1 month since a 7.8 magnitude earthquake hit Nepal. Residents continue living in fear of an aftershock.
Residents in the Nepali town of Bhaktapur watch as unsafe buildings are destroyed 1 month to the day after a deadly earthquake. Approximately 8,600 people were killed when a 7.8 magnitude earthquake struck on April 25th. The demolition is part of the reconstruction work necessary to rebuild the country. The government estimates $7 billion, or a third of the country's GDP, will be needed for that. Repairing the hearts and minds of residents isn't so easy. In Kathmandu, hundreds continue to live in makeshift homes, tents pitched on an open field. The fear of an aftershock or another quake is all too real. A 7.3 magnitude quake hit the nation just 2 weeks ago.
Normal त के भन्ने आज पनि अब 3 बजे गयो भन्छ हैन त्यो normal feel त खास भएको छैन.
The situation has not returned to normal. This morning I felt an aftershock, and our family is still very worried and scared, especially our kids. They're afraid about what is going on.
बच्चाहरु डराउँछन् जान मान्दैनन् त्यही भएर हामी यो टुडी खेलमा बसिरहेका छौं भन्नु पर्यो.
Still, efforts to get back to normal life continue. Here, vendors sell fruits and vegetables at the foot of a pile of rubble and debris in a central square, usually bustling with tourists. More than 20 countries have provided aid to Nepal to help in the wake of the country's worst earthquake in recorded history.
Hollywood actress Susan Sarandon paid a visit to Kathmandu. She wants to draw attention to the desperate plight of many residents following 2 major earthquakes. Hollywood actress Susan Sarandon paid a visit to Kathmandu yesterday to draw attention to the plight of many residents following 2 major earthquakes. A 7.8 magnitude quake hit Nepal on the 25th of April, killing more than 8,000 people. A second quake struck on the 12th of May, killing scores. Towns and villages across the country were completely destroyed, and thousands of people are now homeless. On her tour of the capital, Sarandon said she was impressed that rebuilding was already underway.
I'm very eager to go back to the United States and explain to people there that, yes, there has been an enormous amount of damage, as we've seen on the news, but that there is also an enormous amount of movement to rebuild. And what I like about this project is that everyone gets to rebuild their homes and to have possession of their homes and to make them even safer than they were before, but we'll design them the way they want to be designed.
As monsoon season approaches, there are fears that rebuilding will be severely disrupted. Nepali authorities urged thousands of villagers yesterday to move to safety after a landslide likely triggered by recent earthquakes blocked a river, raising fears of a devastating flash flood. Nearly 140 graves believed to belong to the victims of human trafficking were found near the Malay-Thai border. The discovery comes after another mass grave was found in Thailand earlier this month.
Police in Malaysia have discovered some 139 graves believed to contain the bodies of migrants.
Besides that, we also discovered one highly decomposed body, and we will also bring that down. We will conduct post-mortem on those remains which we found to get to the cause of death of all the victims.
The graves were found at human trafficking camps located near the border between Malaysia and Thailand, police said. Officials are working to exhume the remains from the graves, some of which contain more than one body. One of the graves was very close to a mass grave discovered in Thailand earlier this month. At least 26 bodies were pulled from that site. Nearly 3,000 Muslim Rohingya and Myanmar Bangladeshi migrants have landed on Malaysian and Indonesian shores this month in what the UN is calling a major humanitarian crisis.
Let's now take a look at other stories making headlines across the region in tonight's Asia Roundup.
The International Organization for Migration said that nearly 3,700 Rohingya and Bangladeshi refugees have landed in 5 Asian countries. Some of them arrived in Indonesia, where nearly 170 children were found traveling alone. These children were out on the open ocean with hundreds of other desperate strangers who were mostly Rohingya Muslims fleeing their homes in Myanmar. Most of them said they were forced to sit all day and night with their knees bent stacked together as closely as possible to ensure the biggest payoff from ransoms of around $2,000 per person demanded from the migrants' families. Some are already exhausted and went 3 days without food on the boat. Indonesian medical workers were already deployed to conduct basic health screenings and provide vaccinations to the children. Thousands of Filipinos formed a human peace sign, marking the 70th anniversary of the end of World War II. Participants joined hands to form the International Sign of Peace. A non-profit group campaigning for a positive outlook said they wanted to highlight the importance of maintaining peace in society and stress that the recent tensions with neighboring countries like China can be resolved through dialogue. 3 people were killed and over a dozen wounded after an improvised explosive device went off outside a roadside restaurant in Pakistan's industrial city hub. Police sources said the device was planted in a motorcycle parked outside the restaurant and was possibly aimed at the convoy of President Manoon Hussain's son that passed by seconds before the blast occurred. Salman Hussain was not hurt in the blast. No one has claimed responsibility.
Spain's ruling party has suffered the worst local election results in 20 years. Voters opted for change in the shape of new parties after a corruption-tainted government of Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy.
Supporters of Spain's anti-austerity political parties celebrated in the streets of Madrid Sunday after local elections saw the ruling People's Party handed its worst defeat in more than 20 years. Members of Podemos, or We Can Party, said the results signified voters' desire for a change.
This is the change. This is the possibility to finally be able to finish 24 years of repressive and dictatorial People's Party government. People are hopeful that change is possible, and it is possible to have a different city for everybody.
Although the conservative ruling PP did win more votes than any other party, it and the rival socialists fell short of overall majorities in most areas. The country has virtually no tradition in compromise politics, as the PP and socialists have alternated power since the end of the dictatorship 40 years ago. The two parties will now have to negotiate coalitions with minority parties ahead of the November general elections.
In sports, Premier League champions Chelsea ended the campaign 8 points clear at the top after Sunday's season-ending 3-1 victory over Sunderland. Stephen Fletcher gave the visitors the lead, but a penalty for Diego Costa leveled before the break.
Even Fletcher, that wasn't meant to happen. So that
Costa substituted Didier Drogba, who was carried off by his teammates after 30 minutes of his final Chelsea outing.
Now that's respect. That is universal.
And another sub, Loic Remy led Chelsea from 20 yards before finishing the game with a victory at a close-range finish. Sunderland ends the season at the 16th spot, 3 points clear of danger. The championship was secured already, but Chelsea coach Mourinho was happy the team ended the season with a victory.
It was good to see that dynamic back. After that, celebration is always a celebration. I think the big emotion is always when you clinch the title, but when you have the cup in your hands and when the players they have it, I think is always a great feeling. So 5 years without that at Stamford Bridge was time for our supporters to enjoy too. I belong to these two generations, and I know that to be back for the end of my team was hard. To see Ashley Cole leave, Lampard leave, Essien leave, Drogba leave, is hard. It's Chelsea future. It would be a dream to be here in 2025 and be with the champions of 2004, the champions of 2015, and the champions of 2025. It would be fantastic, but that my future doesn't matter. What matters is Chelsea future, and I'm working for that.
Finland's Jari-Matti Latvala won the Rally of Portugal. It was the Volkswagen driver's first World Championship victory of the season. Latvala, who took the lead on Friday, beat French world champion teammate Sébastien Ogier by 8.2 points with Norwegian Andreas Mikkelsen, making it a Volkswagen 1-2-3 finish. Ogier led Mikkelsen in the standings with 105 points to the Norwegian 63 after 5 rounds. Latvala's win moved him up to 5th place. The next rally is the Italian round in Sardinia, starting on the 6th of June. Germany's Nico Rosberg celebrated a surprise hat-trick of Monaco Grand Prix victories. Double Formula One world champion Hamilton finished 3rd, just one victory seemed assured. It also slashed Hamilton's overall lead to 10 points after 6 of the season's 19 races. The Briton had led comfortably from pole position until Max Verstappen crashed his Toro Rosso car into the barrier. The first Chinese cuisine Hello Kitty themed restaurant has opened in Hong Kong. Hello Kitty fans queue up to sample a meal among 37 dishes, including dim sum and fried rice.
From dumplings to steamed buns and fried rice, this Hong Kong restaurant now serves Chinese food Hello Kitty style. The famous Japanese cartoon cat is a theme for restaurants throughout the world, but owner Man Kwang says his Hello Kitty restaurant is the first to serve Chinese cuisine.
Once their eyes is shining and become to take out their cameras, I'm very happy already.
Fans are lining up to try dim sum with their favorite kitty.
The others are all Western style, like in Macau, in South Korea, and in Taiwan. This one in Hong Kong is the only one in Chinese style. I like Hello Kitty so much, so wherever I go, I'll always go to a Hello Kitty restaurant there, like Hello Kitty Land in Japan.
A symbol of Japan's culture of cute, Sanrio's most popular character, Hello Kitty, celebrated its 40th anniversary in 2014.
French film Dupin won Palme d'Or Prize for director Jacques Audiard at this year's Cannes Film Festival. The film tells the story of Tamil refugees from the Sri Lankan Civil War trying to make a new life on a violent and drug-infested French housing estate. It was a good night for French cinema, which took 2 other awards. Francis Vincent Lindon won Best Actor for French director Stéphane Brise's film La Loi du Manche. The Best Actress prize was shared between America's Rooney Mara for her role in Todd Haynes' Carol and French actress Emmanuelle Berco and French director Maïwen Vesco's Mon Roi.
Which is, you know, it's funny because I never thought of myself.
Nous parlons d'image.
Mr. Vincent Landon for the Wonderful Show.
And here's a look at the weather before we go. Tomorrow will be cloudy apart from sunny intervals. There will be a few showers and temperatures will range between 25 and 30 degrees. That's all from the English newsroom. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.